You replay conversations in your head. You think about things you said hours ago, or things you should have said instead. You imagine what might happen tomorrow. You imagine what could go wrong. You imagine every possible outcome. And sometimes your brain just refuses to stop. Even when you're tired. Even when you know you're overthinking. Even when you tell yourself to let it go. The thoughts keep coming back, almost like your brain is stuck in a loop. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. A lot of people believe overthinking is simply a bad habit. They assume it means you're too anxious, or too sensitive, or not mentally strong enough. But modern psychology suggests something more interesting. In many cases, overthinking happens because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's trying to protect you. The problem is, sometimes the protective system gets stuck. And when it does, your mind can turn into a machine that constantly scans for problems, risks, and possibilities. To understand why this happens, we need to look at something psychologists call the prediction machine. Your brain is not just reacting to the present moment. It's constantly trying to predict the future. Every second of your life, your brain is asking silent questions. What might happen next? Is this safe? Is there something I should worry about? Most of the time, this system works quietly in the background. But when your brain becomes uncertain about something important, it starts generating possibilities. Lots of possibilities. Imagine your brain like a detective investigating a case. If the situation feels unclear, the detective starts building theories. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe something bad will happen. Each new possibility becomes another thought. And before you realize it, your mind is filled with scenarios. What if I said the wrong thing? What if they misunderstood me? What if tomorrow goes badly? Your brain believes it is solving a problem. But something strange happens. The more possibilities your brain creates, the more uncertain the situation feels. And uncertainty is like fuel for overthinking. The brain hates uncertainty. From an evolutionary perspective, uncertainty meant danger. Thousands of years ago, if you heard a sound in the forest and weren't sure what caused it, your brain had two options. Ignore it. Or assume it might be dangerous. The brain that assumed danger survived more often. So your brain evolved to take uncertainty very seriously. That same ancient survival system still exists today. Except now the dangers aren't predators in the forest. They are social situations. Work decisions. Relationships. Conversations. Mistakes. Your brain treats these situations like puzzles that must be solved. So it keeps analyzing. What happened? What could happen? What should I do? And this is where the thinking loop begins. Because every time your brain generates a new possibility, it feels like progress. It feels productive. But in reality, many of those thoughts don't lead to solutions. They lead to more questions. More scenarios. More thinking. Psychologists call this rumination. Rumination happens when the brain keeps returning to the same problem again and again without reaching a clear answer. It's like a record that keeps replaying the same section of a song. Your mind revisits the same moment. The same conversation. The same decision. The same worry. And every time it returns, it searches for something it may have missed. But the deeper problem isn't the thought itself. The deeper problem is the reward system inside your brain. Your brain releases small amounts of dopamine whenever it believes it is making progress towards solving something. Even thinking about a problem can trigger that reward signal. This means overthinking can feel strangely addictive. Your brain believes it is working toward clarity. So it keeps going. One more thought. One more possibility. One more analysis. But clarity never fully arrives. Because the brain is searching for certainty. And certainty is something life rarely provides. So the thinking continues. And over time, this creates what we can call a mental trap. The more you think about something, the more important it begins to feel. Your brain assumes. If I'm thinking about this so much, it must matter. That belief pulls your attention back to the same issue again. And the loop continues. Thought leads to attention. Attention leads to more thinking. More thinking leads to more importance. And before long, your brain is orbiting the same problem like a planet stuck in gravity. This is why simply telling yourself to stop overthinking rarely works. Because the brain doesn't interpret the command the way you expect. When you try not to think about something, your brain has to check whether the thought is still there. And in order to check, it must briefly think about it again. Which means the thought stays active. This is why many people feel frustrated with their own minds. They think, why can't I just stop? But the truth is, the brain isn't malfunctioning. It's following a system that evolved to keep you safe. The real issue is that this system was designed for physical threats, not modern psychological ones. Your brain is trying to solve problems that don't always have clear answers. And when answers aren't available, the prediction machine keeps running, generating new thoughts, new possibilities, new worries. But here's something interesting. Research in cognitive psychology suggests that overthinking often appears in people who are highly aware of patterns and consequences. In other words, the same mental ability that allows someone to analyze situations deeply can also make it harder to switch that analysis off. Your brain is powerful. But power without boundaries can become exhausting. Imagine having a search engine in your mind that never closes its tabs. Each question opens another tab. Each possibility opens another tab. And soon your mental browser has 50 different windows running at once. The system becomes overloaded. And that's when people feel mentally drained. Not because their brain is weak, but because it's been running non-stop. So what can actually break the loop? The answer isn't forcing your brain to stop thinking. That rarely works. Instead, psychologists often focus on something called attention shifting. Your brain has limited attention. It cannot fully focus on multiple complex things at the same time. When attention moves, the thinking loop weakens. This is why activities that require real engagement can interrupt overthinking. Not passive distractions like scrolling through your phone, but actions that pull your mind into the present moment. Physical movement, problem solving, creative work. Anything that gives your brain a new direction. Because the prediction machine can only run when attention keeps feeding it information. When attention moves elsewhere, the loop begins to lose energy. Another powerful shift comes from changing the brain's relationship with uncertainty. Instead of trying to eliminate uncertainty, you allow it to exist. This sounds simple, but it changes how the brain reacts. When the brain realizes that uncertainty is not an emergency, it slowly reduces the need to analyze every possibility. The detective inside your mind starts to relax, because the case no longer feels urgent. Over time, this teaches your brain an important lesson. Not every thought requires investigation. Some thoughts are simply mental noise passing through. The goal isn't to remove thoughts completely. That would be impossible. The goal is to stop treating every thought like an alarm. When the brain stops sounding alarms for every possibility, the prediction machine finally slows down. And the mind becomes quieter. So if you often feel trapped in your own thoughts, remember this. Your brain isn't broken. It's powerful. It just hasn't learned when to stop searching. And the moment you understand how that search system works, you start gaining the ability to step outside the loop. Because once you see the trap, it becomes much easier to walk out of it.